and welcome to the 6th episode of the Neurodivergent Navigator Podcast. I'm your host, Caitlin Warren, and today I will be discussing and exploring the question of what is stimming. In this episode, we will look at a definition of what stimming is, why autistic people stim and the benefits of it, types of stimming, how prevention of stimming harms autistic people, and my own experiences/examples of stimming. I hope you enjoy. So, what is stimming? Well, in simple terms, stimming or stimulating or self-stimulatory behavior is a repetitive action or movement that autistic people often do. It is a common trait associated with autism, but again, as I have said before, because autism is a spectrum, not every autistic person needs to stim, and some may need to stim more or less than others. Allistic people, or people who aren't autistic, can also engage in stimming behaviours, but may not need it for the same purpose as autistic people, may not consider it a necessity to do, or do it as frequently as an autistic person would. But why do autistic people stim, and what are the benefits of it? Well, autistic people generally stim for a variety of beneficial reasons. Stimming can help them regulate themselves, reduce anxiety or stress, improve focus, allow them to keep calm. It can provide comfort, it can allow them to express their emotions and express themselves, and it can act as a helpful coping mechanism and allow autistic people to maintain a sense of control when facing unfamiliar or overwhelming situations. As there is such a variety in the autistic spectrum, there is also a variety of ways in which people in general, and autistic people specifically, stim or stimulate. There are many different types of stimming, and I will name 8 of the most common types with some examples. Physical stimming involves repetitive body movements such as hand flapping, pacing, or bouncing your leg. Auditory stimming is when someone makes or listens to sounds repetitively, like when they listen to a song on repeat. Oral stimming is when someone uses their mouth in a repetitive way, like biting their nails or chewing on a pen. Visual stimming is when someone watches or creates repetitive sights, such as watching water drip or drawing repeated doodles. Olfactory stimming involves repetitive use of a person's sense of smell, such as by putting on perfume or smelling things like candles. Verbal stimming involves repetitive speech. Some examples include echolalia, which is the repetition of words or phrases spoken by others, singing or mumbling. Tactical stimming is repetitive touch-based actions such as playing with your hair or rubbing your hands. Mental stimming is when someone repeats thoughts, ideas, or phrases in their head. However, sometimes autistic people can feel like they have to suppress their need to stim, or are told to, or forced to not stim. But prevention of stimming can harm autistic people in a few ways, especially to those who regularly need to stim. Suppression of stimming can cause things like physical and mental exhaustion, increased anxiety, distress, meltdowns, and even burnout. As I've explained, allowing autistic people to stim freely can majorly benefit them in many ways, but it is also important to know that if a person's stimming is destructive or harmful and could cause harm to the person or to others, you should try and seek sufficient support for the person, or try to find out the cause of any distress the person is feeling and why they stim that way. But generally, stimming is a harmless behaviour that has many benefits to autistic people, as I have mentioned. I too feel more regulated and calm when I stim as an autistic person. I also stimulate myself in a variety of ways. For example, I prefer to pace when I'm talking about something. I often fidget with my hands and do the T-Rex hands when walking around sometimes. And I also repeatedly call and refer to my dogs as Nicky or Mickey for no specific reason. But when I do things like that and stim, it allows me to be comfortable and stay focused and calm, like how many other autistic people feel when they are able to stim too. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Neurodivergent Navigator Podcast. I hope this episode helped you learn about and get a better insight into what stimming is and the other elements to do with it. Have a great day or night, and as always, stay weird.